Now these jeans, these used to be my tight jeans. The ones that used to be really tight. And now these jeans, they're no longer my tight jeans. Check it out. Hello YouTubers, Alaska Prepper here. Ladies and gentlemen, guess what? There is a chart that I seen not too long ago, and I revisited, that has convinced me that I am going to do my best to stick to not a pure carnivore diet, but what I call and many other people call a ketovore diet. Now, a keto diet is one in which you restrict the intake of carbohydrates by up to like 20 grams per day, right? If I'm getting it right, I might be off by a couple of grams. But a carnivore diet is a diet in which you restrict all plant-based everything. All you eat is what carnivores eat, right? So the reason that I am going to do a ketovore diet, which is a mixture of both, is not because I am going to continue to eat like vegetable-based products, but because in a carnivore diet, it's so strict that you can't even have like spices, like garlic spices, right? Or black pepper, or things like that. And I can't give up my spices. And really the spices are just trace amounts of those vegetables that were ground up. So it's not that big of a deal. A lot of people are very successful doing the carnivore diet and using some spices. But what I'm going to do is I am going to eventually try to transition fully to a carnivore diet. And this is why. Let's talk about it. Well, ladies and gentlemen, with all of the information that we have from our recent past, our recent history, let's say the last 50 to 100 years, how many times, those of you that are old enough to say this, how many times have you been able to experience the government telling you one thing in 1 year, let's say 1970, and then 10 years later, it telling you the opposite of what it just told you, 10 years prior? And just like this chart right here tells me that the government says that, or I think it was some university, I forgot the university, Taft or something like that, but it's backed by the government, right? The government is telling us that Lucky Charms is better to consume than meat. Think about that. I'm not trying to change you in any way. I'm not trying to convince you to eat in any way. But this chart right here is what made me decide that, you know what? I have to try this. At the very least, try it and see what happens. So today is going to be my very first day where I go 100% on board, where I do not divert by any means. Like before, here in the last few months, I've been pretty much cutting out just about all carbohydrates, but I've been eating vegetables here and there. And I mean, just take a look at some of the, just a second, we got a car coming. There we go. Yep, it's safe now. We're coming up to that spot where there's a big sheet of ice on the road, and that's the part where I have to be very careful, make sure there's no cars coming when I'm crossing that part. But what was I saying? Oh, anyways, for the last few months, I've abstained from having a lot of carbs, but I've still been eating the vegetable carbs and stuff like that, broccoli, Brussels sprouts and stuff. But you just need to do some research, some real data that's come out. Let's just pick Brussels sprouts, right? If you go listen to Dr. Anthony Chaffee, I believe is how you pronounce his name, or Chaffee, right? If you go listen to him, he's done a lot of research on this. And Brussels sprouts alone have like 136 naturally occurring carcinogens within a Brussels sprout. And he explains to people why it is that Brussels sprouts have that bitterness taste to them. And he says that the reason is because it's your body telling you, hey, don't eat this. Don't eat this piece of food because it's got poisons in it. Obviously, I'm not saying that if you go out there and eat a Brussels sprouts that you're going to die, but that is why some vegetables have those bitter tastes to them. It's because your body's telling you, hey, don't eat this. This is no good for you. Now check this out. I don't know if you can see this, but you see that sheet of ice there in the middle of the road? That's where you have to be careful, ladies and gentlemen, because if a car is coming down this hill and they can't stop, it doesn't matter where you're standing. So crossing this part right here, I'm very careful to make sure that there's no cars coming already, right? Then let me get back on the road here. So anyways, ladies and gentlemen, you do your own research. You have to do what is best for you. So I'm not trying to convince you either way to do one thing or another. But I thought that it'd be really nice to take you along. There's another car coming. You see it? I thought that'd be nice to take you along on this journey and just to see what happens. I'll tell you what, I love Alaska. The people here are so awesome. Unfortunately, yesterday I saw a young lady in the middle of an intersection in town who, it looks like she got into an accident, and whoever she got into an accident with left the scene. And she was in the middle there crying, and there wasn't really much that you could do. But I stopped and I said, "Are you okay?" And she said, "Yeah," and she was crying. She was on the phone. I was like, "Do you need any help taking your car out from the middle of the intersection?" I said, "Because I'll pull over and help do that." And she said, "No, I'm on the phone with my dad, and he said to leave it there until the cops get there." But anyways, I felt really bad for her. But people here, for the most part, man, they're so awesome. It's one of the reasons why I love living here in Fairbanks, Alaska. But anyways, ladies and gentlemen, I'm going to go ahead and not try to convince you on what you should do with your body or what you should eat or anything like that, because it's not my place to do so. But I thought that I'd share this little journey with you because I think that at the very least, it will be somewhat interesting. However, you know what? I think that what we'll do next is I will show you what I eat today, whether I eat once or twice. Usually I will eat at least one time, and usually that one time, depending on how much fat I take in, is enough for the whole day. But sometimes I'll eat twice because I just need more fat, and your body really does tell you that you need more. But today's going to be the first day where I do not eat any vegetables or anything like that. It's going to be 100% protein, and you're also allowed to have some dairy products like some cheese, but that's not something that I have all the time. But you can have cheese, you can have butter, you can have bacon, all the stuff that they've been telling us that's bad for you. Those are the things that you can have, just like on the list here that I showed you earlier that are in the bottom of the list. So, but if you want to have your Lucky Charms or your honey oat cereals, by all means, ladies and gentlemen, freedom is awesome, which means that if you want to have your Lucky Charms, you can. Well, ladies and gentlemen, I just got back from my walk. I did a little over 2 miles today, and I don't want to overdo it. I know it's just walking, but I have bad feet and bad knees, so I don't want to overdo it. So normally when I start out my day, I'll have my cup of coffee, sometimes two. But after I come back from my walks, I'm going to make it a habit to have myself a drink with some electrolyte in it. Not a drink, but just water with some electrolyte in it. Because after I do get back from my walk, I feel that I need it. So ladies and gentlemen, this here is a 24-ounce, I call it cup bottle, I guess you can say. And this is the electrolyte that I use. It's Dr. Berg's electrolyte powder. I'm not promoting this. I'm not affiliated with it, but it works really well for me. The only small problem that I have with it, it is kind of pricey, right? But it does work good. And this is what it has inside of it. Or it has calcium, 75 milligrams, magnesium, 120, chloride, 60, sodium, 40, potassium, 1,000, and trace mineral complex, 100 milligrams. My doctor told me, because I showed her this, and she told me to only use this one serving per day, and that should be enough for all of my electrolytes for the day. But I guess that would determine on how physically active I am. However, I've come to realize or feel when I need it, and usually when I feel like I need electrolytes, man, I do need it, because I take it and I feel a lot better. So this comes with a little scooper, just like this inside of it. And all I do is put it in here, fill it up with my reverse osmosis water, shake, and enjoy. And boy, I'll tell you what, I can feel those electrolytes just soaking into my body. Maybe I should audition to do a Budweiser commercial. What do you think, ladies and gentlemen? Just kidding. Well, ladies and gentlemen, this here is going to be my dinner for today. It'll probably be my only meal unless I get hungry later on. It's about a little after 1 p.m. right now, and this is roughly about a pound or so of hamburger. Now, hamburger is not all that I eat. All right, I will share with you the other meats and meals that I make along this journey, but I just felt like having hamburger today for some reason. So I'm going to go ahead and brown this up. And once I brown this up, I'm going to go ahead and add about 6 strips of bacon that I've got right here. And then once that's all cooked, I'm going to go ahead and add some of this queso fresco, some of that Mexican cheese, right? That usually if you go to a restaurant, you'll find that cheese like on top of refried beans and stuff like that. And before I forget, I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of garlic in here. And this is going to be the transition from keto to carnivore, is when I finally decide to give up all spices except for salt. Because pure carnivore, you only have salt. You can have like different flavor salt, like smoked salts. You can have that Redmond sells, but it can only be salt. That's like the strictest carnivore version of this lifestyle that there is. And I'm going to go ahead and add a little bit of Redmond salt as well. And then, like I said, we're just going to brown this up. Add those things that I showed you, the bacon along with that cheese. And I'm also going to add some pickles, right? You're allowed to have pickles because they're just pretty much non-caloric condiments, right? But again, once I turn full carnivore, eventually, even the pickles will have to go, right? I'm just trying to work it right now where I can take a month or a month and a half or however long it takes for me to transition from having a keto type of a diet into a carnivore type of a diet to where all plants are taken out. I know, ladies and gentlemen, some of you are probably thinking, man, AP, you're crazy. But guess what? If you've ever thought about this, then you can come along for the ride and you can see whether this works or not. I'm going to continue to do this and see if it works. And if it does, it's going to be my new lifestyle as far as eating goes. And if it doesn't, then we'll have to try something else, right? That's how life works, ladies and gentlemen. You can't give up. And that's actually pre-cooked bacon. So I'm just going to put it in there so that it can get nice and warm along with the other meat. And I'm not sure by looking at this if it's going to be enough for the whole day. So I might end up eating a little something later on tonight. Maybe some eggs or something like that. Because I actually have another walk planned for later on tonight with my wife. So we'll see what happens. One of the things that I like about doing this, ladies and gentlemen, is that usually once a day usually does the trick. But if you do feel like you're getting hungry later on in the day, it's no big deal. You just eat if you're hungry. Just make sure that you eat the food that you're supposed to be eating. I guess I can say that the only rule that I follow is that if after 6 o'clock in the evening, if I get hungry, I just won't eat. Because I don't like to go to bed with food in my belly. So if it's after 6 o'clock and I get hungry for whatever reason, I don't eat. And this here is our cheese. Now, believe it or not, ladies and gentlemen, all of this food right here, the meat, the bacon, the cheese, this is some crushed avocados and the pickles. This is all just shy of 2 pounds of food. So looking at this now, in the plate, it may just be enough to satisfy me or satiate me for the entire day. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much for hanging out. And until next time, enjoy and good health. God bless every one of you. Thank you very much for your support. All right, I'm Alaska Prepper. I'm out. Ladies and gentlemen, I just finished eating, so my stomach is a little bit full. But I just wanted to give you an idea of how things have been going since I found out that I was diabetic. Now, these jeans, these used to be my tight jeans, the ones that used to be really tight. And this belt used to go up to here, up to about here, about an inch past. And now take a look. And now these jeans, they're no longer my tight jeans. Check it out. So there's definitely been a lot of progress. I'm just hoping that the route that I'm taking now will work better as far as my diabetes goes. I've been losing a little bit of weight, which is great, but I want my diabetes to go away, which I understand it's never going to go away, but at least to be managed. I will be happy if I never have to touch another, refined carbohydrate or vegetable or anything like that again, as long as my blood glucose level straightens out or levels out and stays that way in accordance with what I eat. And so far, it's working. I just pray to God that it continues to work and that it gets better as I progress through this journey. Again, that was just a little bonus clip, so thank you very much for hanging in there. God bless you all.